So today at the UFC 315 press conference, Dana White was asked about Ilia Topuria's interview where he had just said that the winner of Belal versus JDM will determine who Ilia fights next for UFC 316 at International Fight Week on June 28th. If Belal wins, then Islam won't move up to welterweight to fight Belal, and he'll stay down at lightweight to fight Ilia. And if Belal loses, then Islam will move up to welterweight to fight JDM to possibly become a double champion, and then that would mean that Ilia would fight Charles Oliveira. So if Belal loses, then Islam will go up to 170 and fight JDM, and Topuria will fight Charles for the interim lightweight title, probably. And if Belal wins, then Islam will fight Topuria in an insane super fight that basically every MMA fan I know wants to see. I want to see that fight badly. Is Islam too big for Ilia? Are Ilia's hands too good for Islam? There's so many questions. This might be a good way of getting Belal some more fans, because if you want to see the super fight that we've all been waiting for, Ilia versus Islam next month, then you definitely want to be rooting for Belal to win this weekend, which is something I never thought I'd say, but let's all root for Belal to win this weekend so we can see Ilia versus Islam. Please, boys, we need this fight to happen. Also, if you're a Charles Oliveira fan, like most MMA fans are, and you don't want to see him fight Topuria and possibly get knocked out, then you're also rooting for Belal to beat JDM this weekend at UFC 315 in Montreal. Now, don't get me wrong, Charles definitely has a chance against Ilia, but I don't want to see my Brazilian GOAT get knocked out, and I really just want to see Topuria versus Islam, you know? So if Belal wins, then Islam versus Ilia, and if Belal loses, then Ilia versus Oliveira and Islam versus JDM. It's wild to think that one of the biggest super fights in MMA in the past 5 years all depends on how Belal Muhammad performs this weekend. It's actually crazy that this is what MMA has come to. If Belal loses and it ends up being Ilia versus Charles, then it's probably an interim title and they wouldn't strip Islam so he could go on to be a double champion. But we know that recently the UFC has said that they don't like having double champions at the same time, so they could strip Islam if he went up to 170 to fight JDM for the title. But I think they might make an exception for Islam and probably wouldn't strip him and would just go with an interim lightweight title for Charles or Ilia. So we could have one of the best main events ever for International Fight Week with Islam versus Ilia, champ versus champ, some people's featherweight GOAT versus some people's lightweight GOAT. This actually builds up so much hype for the Belal fight this weekend, I can't lie. I can't even believe those words are coming out of my mouth. Things just got a whole lot more interesting for UFC 315. So boys, if there's any time to root for Belal, which I know is basically an oxymoron, it's this weekend. And even if Belal loses, the fans will still win and we'll still get JDM versus Islam and Ilia versus Charles for International Fight Week. Also at the press conference, Ian Gary caught an absolute stray from JDM when JDM said that he didn't think Ian Gary's kid was actually his, because a few days ago Gary told his son to go up to JDM and bring him some M&Ms, and JDM roasted Gary in front of the entire press conference, saying it wasn't actually Ian Gary's kid, which you know got under cuck Ian Gary's skin and might actually teach him a lesson about using a child to promote his fights and MMA career. Good shit by JDM, that was hilarious. So I guess it's let's go Belal this weekend. Is that what we've come to? I'll root for him if I have to get Ilia versus Islam at International Fight Week for UFC 316. Whatever it takes, boys. We're trying to hit 10 subscribers, so subscribe if you want. I'll see you later.